What if everything we thought we knew about human civilization is incomplete? What if the most significant evidence of ancient human achievement doesn't lie in Egypt or Greece, but hidden beneath the volcanic jungles of Southeast Asia? Welcome to Infinite Findings, where we investigate the world's most perplexing mysteries and forgotten histories. Today, we're traveling to Indonesia, a nation of thousands of islands that holds 4 discoveries so extraordinary they've challenged everything scientists believed about our past. And what's remarkable isn't just what was found, it's that these discoveries remain unsolved, disputed, and perhaps more intriguing because of it. Our journey begins in West Java, where a mountain rises from the earth that shouldn't exist, not as nature made it, but as something far more intentional. 2 hours from Jakarta, at the edge of volcanic highlands, stands a formation unlike anything else in Southeast Asia. Locals call it Gunung Padang. From a distance, it appears to be nothing more than a forested slope, unremarkable and ordinary. But venture closer, and the landscape transforms completely. What emerges is impossible to ignore. Thousands of flat basalt columns, each one precisely fitted together, layered in distinct terraces. Not scattered randomly across the mountainside, not rough and jagged as you'd expect from natural erosion. Instead, they form 5 deliberate platforms, each one stacked above the other, connected by stone staircases, rising toward the peak like an ancient spiral. The base of this structure alone covers an area larger than 15 hectares, making it the most massive megalithic formation in all of Southeast Asia. But here's where the mystery deepens. In 2012, an Indonesian geologist named Danny Hillman Natawidjaja made a discovery that would ignite one of the most heated scientific debates of the decade. Using ground-penetrating radar and deep drilling samples, his team began mapping what lay beneath the visible surface. And what they found suggested something remarkable. Beneath the upper terraces that everyone could see lay older layers. Much older. According to Natawidjaja's dating analysis, some of these subsurface formations were constructed over 20,000 years ago. That places them at the tail end of the last ice age, before agriculture emerged, before permanent settlements, before anything we associate with organized human civilization. Think about that for a moment. If true, this structure predates the Egyptian pyramids by thousands of years. It predates Stonehenge. It challenges everything we assumed about when humans developed the capability to plan, coordinate, and construct massive engineered works. The scientific community's response was swift and severe. Dozens of archaeologists and geologists attacked the methodology. They pointed out that the core samples showed soil layers and mineral deposits, but no definitive evidence of intentional human construction. The distinction matters. Soil settling and geological processes can create patterns that appear purposeful. Perhaps, critics argued, Natawidjaja had misinterpreted natural formations as evidence of ancient engineering. Months after publication, the journal formally retracted the paper. But the story didn't end there. For skeptics, retraction meant closure, a natural hill, a misreading of data, a scientific error corrected. But for researchers who support Natawidjaja's work, retraction isn't disproof. It's silence. The layers remained exactly where they were discovered. The basalt columns didn't rearrange themselves. The radiocarbon dates didn't change. What shifted was only the official narrative. And perhaps that's what makes this site truly unsettling. We still don't know what it is. Leaving the riddle of Gunung Padang behind, we now venture to a different mystery entirely, one that's less about what was hidden in the earth and more about what the earth itself chose to hide. Central Java. Here, surrounded by endless rice fields and the rumbling presence of distant volcanoes, stands something that shouldn't exist at all. The largest Buddhist temple ever constructed on the face of the planet. Borobudur. It rises in 9 ascending platforms, each one more intricate than the last, decorated with over 2,000 individual stone panels, each carved with extraordinary detail. Hundreds of Buddha statues sit in meditation poses throughout its structure. This entire monumental achievement was built during the 8th or 9th century by the Sendra dynasty, an endeavor requiring the labor of thousands of workers over decades, using millions of blocks of volcanic stone fitted together with such precision that no mortar was needed. In any other context, such a structure would become legendary. It should have dominated historical records, inspired pilgrims for centuries, served as the spiritual heart of an entire region. Instead, it simply vanished, not destroyed by invading armies, not leveled by earthquakes, not torn apart by looters seeking treasure. Rather, Borobudur was swallowed. The jungle consumed it gradually, root by root and vine by vine. Volcanic ash from nearby eruptions buried it deeper with each tremor. Somehow, over generations, a structure as tall as a modern office building, covering an area equivalent to 2.5 football fields, was erased from active memory. For 800 years, from roughly the 14th century until the early 19th century, the largest Buddhist structure on Earth officially ceased to exist. It was forgotten so completely that when British forces finally rediscovered it in 1814 during colonial surveys, historians were astonished it had ever been built at all. The official explanation sounds reasonable enough. A combination of volcanic ash, climate-related migration, and religious shift as the island gradually converted to Islam all contributed to its abandonment. Plausible, logical, satisfying in its simplicity. Yet historians remain troubled by one particular detail. Borobudur isn't a small shrine hidden in mountain valleys. It isn't a remote sanctuary that could be overlooked. It's a colossal temple sitting on the island's central plain, visible from considerable distances, unmistakable in scale and presence. How does a structure of that magnitude vanish without a single chronicle documenting its decline? No historian recorded its abandonment. No poet wrote about watching it be consumed by wilderness. No priest offered final ceremonies before the jungle claimed it. That silence is peculiar. That absence of documentation is strange. It raises questions we still can't quite answer. Today, Borobudur stands restored, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, once again commanding attention. But the mystery of its long forgetting remains. Our third discovery transports us deeper into Java's interior, to a place where history lies quite literally beneath the feet of ordinary people who walk above it every single day. East Java, the Majapahit region. On the surface, you see what appears to be typical countryside, rural villages, rice paddies, dirt roads connecting modest houses, farmers working the fields as they have for generations. Ordinary, unremarkable. The kind of landscape you might pass through without a second glance. But begin excavating almost anywhere within a 15-kilometer radius, and you'll uncover something extraordinary. Brickwork. Everywhere you dig, there are bricks. Historians believe this unmarked countryside sits directly atop the buried remains of Majapahit's capital. The Majapahit Empire was the largest state in Southeast Asian history. At its zenith during the 14th century, it controlled territory that dwarfed modern Indonesia, stretching from Sumatra in the west to New Guinea in the east, an area of staggering geographical and political significance. A court poet named Prapanca wrote a chronicle in 1365 called the Nagara Ketagama that describes this capital in vivid detail. He wrote of grand palaces connected by elaborate canals. He described marketplaces teeming with merchants and goods from across the known world. He documented a population that some researchers estimate in the hundreds of thousands. A true metropolis, a center of power and culture that shaped an entire region. Today, almost none of that remains visible. There are no intact palaces, no standing walls taller than a person, no structures that immediately announce themselves as the remnants of empire. Instead, what archaeologists discover are fragments, a gate here, a ceremonial pool there, isolated temples scattered randomly among modern houses, their original context lost and forgotten. The reason is heartbreakingly simple: practicality and material choice. The Majapahit builders worked primarily in fired red brick, not stone. Brick is practical, abundant, and effective. But in a tropical climate with seasonal monsoons and centuries of weathering, unmaintained brick collapses. Structures decay within generations. Without constant restoration, brick buildings become rubble within a few centuries. Making the problem worse, the modern village of Trowulan was constructed directly over the ruins. Over hundreds of years, as villagers built homes and planted fields, they had no clear understanding that they were literally living on top of an empire's lost capital. Archaeologists now describe it plainly. What we're seeing on the surface isn't the true capital of Majapahit. It's merely what has surfaced during a century of occasional excavations and agricultural work. The real scale of the city remains unknown. Historians estimate that beneath every house, under every field, there could exist chamber upon chamber, wall upon wall, artifact after artifact, pieces of history that will likely never be unearthed because they lie beneath people's homes. An entire civilization is literally hidden in plain sight, and most of it will remain undisturbed. Our final discovery belongs to a different category entirely. This isn't about human construction or forgotten cities. This is about a force of nature so cataclysmic that it nearly ended human existence altogether. North Sumatra. From above, Lake Toba appears serene and beautiful. A vast expanse of deep blue water, ringed by emerald mountains, with an island roughly the size of Singapore rising from its center. Tranquil, almost peaceful. But this isn't an ordinary lake. What you're viewing is the caldera of a supervolcano, one of only a handful of such structures on the entire planet. And 74,000 years ago, something happened here that remains one of the closest brushes with extinction our species has ever experienced. The Toba eruption was cataclysmic beyond modern comprehension. Volcanologists classify it as a super eruption, the highest category on the explosivity scale. Current scientific estimates suggest the eruption ejected over 2,800 cubic kilometers of rock, ash, and molten material into the atmosphere. For context, the eruption that buried the Roman city of Pompeii was thousands of times smaller. The ash cloud rose so high it blocked sunlight across entire continents. Ash particles traveled across the Indian Ocean and settled as distinct layers across South Asia. In regions thousands of kilometers away from the volcano, ash accumulated to depths of several meters, thick enough to fundamentally alter the landscape. The climate consequences would have been severe. A volcanic winter scenario where ash and sulfates blocked solar radiation, driving global temperatures downward. Crops would fail, food chains would collapse, survival would become the only concern. But here's where the story becomes even more troubling. In the 1990s, geneticists analyzing human DNA worldwide made an unsettling discovery. The genetic diversity among humans was suspiciously low, lower than what scientists would expect for a species our age spread across such vast territories. In fact, it was lower than the genetic diversity found among chimpanzees living in a single small African forest. This anomaly gave rise to the Toba bottleneck hypothesis. The theory suggests that the super eruption triggered a sudden climate catastrophe that caused human population to collapse dramatically. According to this model, our entire species was reduced to just a few thousand individuals, a genetic bottleneck from which all modern humans eventually descended. If true, it means humanity came terrifyingly close to complete annihilation. A single volcano nearly erased our species before civilization even began. But the Toba hypothesis remains contested. Some geneticists argue the data doesn't support such an extreme population collapse. Others point out that human migration patterns might explain genetic patterns better than extinction does. The debate continues, unresolved. 4 places, 4 mysteries, 1 country, a mountain that defies dating and challenges our understanding of ancient construction. A temple so massive it was forgotten for 8 centuries despite its monumental presence. An empire's capital buried beneath the homes of ordinary people, most of it likely never to be excavated. A supervolcano that may have nearly wiped out our entire species. None of these mysteries are officially resolved. Indonesia holds secrets about human history that we're only beginning to uncover. And perhaps that's the most important discovery of all, how much we still don't know about our own past. If these Indonesian mysteries captured your imagination the way they've captivated historians and archaeologists around the world, please like this video. It's the best way to support this channel and help these forgotten stories reach more people. Subscribe to Infinite Findings to be first to explore the world's most perplexing mysteries. We're constantly investigating hidden places, ancient anomalies, and untold histories across Peru, Egypt, India, and beyond. Let us know in the comments which of these 4 discoveries fascinated you most, or if you have theories about what these sites truly represent. Thanks for joining us on another journey into the unknown, and we'll see you in the next investigation.